Back to the Swift 4 tutorial series. We are going to be going over functions and enums today. So let's get right into it. So first off, I won't be spending as much time as I did before reviewing everything that we've talked about. We know that we're building up to MVC patterns. That's ultimately how we're going to end up structuring our app and building our app. If you want to learn about that, go back to those last 3 videos. We're going to push forward from here. We went over in the last 3 videos properties, data types, arrays, loops, as well as dictionaries. Hopefully you are all able to keep track with that. Once again, if you have questions, just leave them in any of the comments below. I should get an email notification. So today we're going to talk about functions and enums. So functions is the very first one, and let's pull up a analogy to help you out with this. So first off, a function is essentially let me get out of here. Function is actually an action that we want to perform. It is a set of instructions that we would like to perform at a certain time or execute. Let's say you want to take out the garbage. Taking out the garbage means that you need to you have like an ABC process. You get up, you walk over to the garbage, you grab the trash, you take it outside, you toss it in the trash, and then you come back. That entire thing represents a function called take out trash, for example. So let's take a look at another example. Example of a function here that I have is a microwave. A function normally has all of what it needs to perform its task inside of its parameters. Like inside of it, it's like a black box. You don't know what it does inside unless you're the programmer. You just know that it's going to do something. We know that a microwave is used to heat up some food, and we have to put some food into the microwave in order for that to happen. Not all functions have to receive what's called a parameter, but the one that I'm giving an example for has a parameter. But first off, this is the structure of a function. A function is created by calling the keywords func, F-U-N-C, and we name it. In this case, it's called microwave. And then you can have inside of these brackets here, you can have inside of these brackets here a parameter. You can put many parameters in here. A parameter is something you're going to use inside of the method. So anytime I call microwave in code, it's going to give me a big gap here, and it's expecting me to put a parameter in the way that it's set up when I've created that function originally. So in this case, the parameter is food, and we've decided it's a string, so it's a string of characters. And then we would, in this function, do a print statement. And whatever is inside of the brackets, once again, the curly braces, that means we're going to execute that whenever this function is called, whenever I call microwave. And then I fill in the blank here. So let's take a close look at this. Whenever we call the microwave function, once again, I was telling you it opens up and it would look something like this. The inside of the parameters are grayed out, and it's letting you know what type of parameter it's expecting because of how it was originally created in the previous screen that we saw there. Because of how the microwave function was created, it is expecting a parameter, a string parameter, and it's labeled it food, so you know what the context is. So we call it, it opens up, and then we put something in there that we want, and we would then get, print hot dog. Print hot dog is warm now, essentially. That's what this would be. Okay? And that is pretty much it to the function. There's a lot more to a function, which I'm going to show you now. So let's go over here. And once again, when you create a function, I'm going to actually increase the size of this. Sometimes it can be a little hard, especially if you're watching this on a mobile device. Also, I just like the size being pretty big. So we'll go for the text. The text size should be pretty large. So we'll go func microwave. So we use the keyword func in order to start creating a function. We could have a empty parameter here, but we are going to put in a parameter of food. Use the colon, and you can say string. We're expecting a string to be passed through this function. And anywhere in here we can use food. We can say food, or we can print. And this is something that I have not shown you yet. Notice in here, there is some syntax that you haven't really seen before. We have the /, and then we have the parentheses, and we are passing the parameter in here. Doesn't matter what this is. What this whole thing is saying is, whatever this item is, make it into a string. This is called string interpolation. So basically, when you do this inside of a string, you're saying whatever's going to be inside of here, whatever's written inside of here, let's say we put some, maybe we had some outside method, let's say our property, var age. We could pass age through here. Even though age is not a string, this allows us to pass in any type we want, and it will actually print out whatever this is. So this would look like 28. That's going to come with practice, but string interpolation is very useful whenever you want to print out some type of property, or maybe a parameter like this, or anytime you're doing any kind of testing. Sometimes you need to see, like, what came back from this, what was the result of this, and that's what string interpolation would be used for. So let's see how this looks in action. See how this looks in action by doing this. I type in food, and then is warm. Okay, so now we can call the function. We call the function by just calling microwave, and it sets it up for us. It's ready for us, waiting for a string to be passed through. I'll say hot dogs. Hot dog is warm. And I can include in front of this, the hot dog is warm. The hot dog is warm. There you go. And down below you can see inside the gutter that it has print that out. Awesome. So up here I'm getting a bunch of other print statements. I think I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Where is that happening again? Right over here. I'm just going to comment this line of code out. And once again, to comment a line of code, all you have to do is hold command and do the backslash. Okay. So there are times where you want a function to actually give you something back. Like maybe you want to add two numbers together. So let me go ahead and put this more together. Okay. So I'm going to make a comment here, and I'm going to call this add two numbers. And I'm just making this up. You can make functions that do whatever you want. That's the power behind all of this. So this function I'm about to make is going to add two numbers together and then give us back the result of those two numbers being added together. So let's go. Keyword is func for creating a function. I'm going to name it add. And our parameters are going to be number 1 colon. It's going to be of type int, comma, and we can add another parameter, which is going to be number 2 int. And in order to let this function know that that our intention is to return something back to ourselves, we can do this symbol here, which is arrow sign. It looks pretty funny, but an arrow sign, and we can say we would like to get an int back. Oh, there we go. We are expecting to get an int back, and then we'll open up the curly braces again, and then return is how we return something whenever the function has been called. Okay, so if I do, we want to add these two numbers together, so we're going to do number 1 plus number 2. Super simple. And so whenever we call add and we pass in a couple of numbers, it's going to give us the result of those two numbers added together. Okay, so I'm still seeing these methods being printed out down here. Let me double check. Oh, I didn't comment out the while loop over here, so I comment that out. And I'm going to comment the microwave method out right now too. There we go. All right, so we could just call add. Because we're in a playground right now, we can test code out without anything. Let me show you two ways to call this method and see the result. While we're in a playground, we can just say, okay, we called add, and it gave us our two parameters is waiting for us to put something in. I'm going to say 100, and then you can hit the tab key on your keyboard. I would say 200. All right, and it equals 300. We can see in the gutter that it's giving us the result of those two numbers being added together. So that's one thing you can do, but when you're actually writing code, you're not always going to just call a method like this and not do anything with it. So sometimes you need to store it into a property. So how do we call properties? We can do var let. I'm going to say let result equal add number 1, which is going to be, I don't know, 50, and then number 2 is going to be 200. There we go. And now whenever I call result, it will then give me 250. Awesome. And you know, if we were in a real world scenario, maybe you need to figure out someone's age by their birth date. So maybe you'll make a method that takes the user's birth date and, like, you know, subtracts the amount of time. You get what I'm saying? You can actually make a method to figure out the person's birthday, or you could make a method that says how old that person is to be displayed in your app. And you would do all of that inside of the parameters here, or not inside the parameters, but the curly braces. Everything that you do inside of here affects it. Like, what if I said number 1 equals number 1 plus 200? That would drastically change the results that I'll end up getting. Oh, so here's another thing. These parameters are actually constants. So that means that they cannot be changed. So we would need to store this in a new property. So I would say var results equals that, and then I can replace this and say results, or I can call this new number one value. Oh, keep it together, value, new number one value. I'm going to copy and paste this. There we go. And that's going to be a let because it never changes. Xcode will bug you and say, hey, this value never changes. Like, why is it a variable? Or it'll say there's no instance that I'm seeing where this is going to change. And it'll say, hey, would you like to make this a let instead? And that will produce a warning for you. Warnings are things that you will see at the top just to give you a tip along the way with Xcode. Let's see. Yep. So we see that warning, right? We can also see warning up at the very top of the screen. And we can click on that and it'll actually tell us over on the left-hand side what that warning actually is. So that's functions in a nutshell. We will get deeper into functions. You can return multiple, you have multiple return types as well. And that would mean that we would need to do something like this, where we are also returning a string. Oh, and this would need to be inside of, there we go. Then maybe. There we go. But my point was that you have the ability to have multiple return types if you want. The syntax for that is just this up here, where we made some, we had put them inside of parentheses and separate them with a comma, much like how we do our arrays and separate our array values in dictionary values. Okay, so that was functions. I think in order to keep this short and sweet, I'm gonna save this as a functions video, and I'm gonna do another video as an enum video right after this, and then I'll go ahead and create a video for classes afterward. That's where we're really starting to get into some really good stuff that we're going to be able to utilize when developing your app. You're going to be able to use it all, but and you will use it all, but this will be a great start for you. So anyway, thank you for joining me for my fourth video in the Swift 4 Basics training series, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.